Entering the atmosphere in T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast from OmegaMetroid.com. My name is Andy Spiteri, back and joined by Doom Animal Crossing. How are you, Doom? What's going on?
It's been a crazy week for us. Maybe a little bit more crazier for you, but yeah, we were looking at some new places. Because we're looking at moving soon because one of our roommates moved out, so we needed to get a little bit of a cheaper option. And man, we found a really good place yesterday. From what it sounds like we're the only people that have applied to it so far, so we're just kind of like, go. So yeah, literally right before we started recording, I just got off the call with the property management company to set up, ask some questions, set up some paperwork, and yeah, in the next 3 to 4 days, we should be able to start getting the ball rolling on that. So very exciting times. Not excited to move. That's going to be very annoying, But yeah, very, very excited to finally get this one done. And it's a good place, so I'm excited.
I will say, moving gives you an opportunity to purge a lot of stuff. Like, if I moved out of my house, like, we would be purging, like, a ton. And, like, just an absolute ton of stuff, which I feel like we needed to do. I went on a little bit of a purging mission, actually, yesterday. We had, like, a corner of our kitchen, which is, like, kind of tucked in by the stairs, so you don't really see it, so it's easy to just put like junk there. And I'm tired of looking at this, and so like we turned it into like Lincoln's corner, you know, like, so we got all of our dog stuff there. Like, I bought a mini freezer yesterday for all of his stuff because like it was just like taking up all of our space in like the deep freeze and our freezer inside. So it was a nice little purging excursion that we went on. So congrats on...
That's cute. Link gets his own refrigerator.
He does. Like, he needs it, honestly. Like, and anyone with a dog will tell you this. Like half of my freezer is Lincoln's stuff. And so, like, we bought a deep freeze for the garage with the intention that we would put a lot of our stuff out there. And it's just more of his stuff. It's, like, more frozen food you buy in bulk. Like, it's just treats, like, that need to be frozen. It's crazy. This dog lives a cushy life over in Calgary, Alberta. Let's just say. A wild week for sure. But happy to be here recording with you. We got a lot of news to get into today, Doom. So much news that I don't even want to say what our original topic is, because I don't know if we're going to get a chance to discuss it. We will get back to the Smash Bros. Discussion eventually. We need a little bit more time to cook on that one and to prepare some of our thoughts. But we have a ton of stuff to get into here today. But before we get into anything here, Doom, I do think that it would be good for us to do what we do best, and that is a little bit of shilling. And so here we go. Episode number 4, the final episode of the season of Gooey Plays Metroid, is live on patreon.com/SBNet. We went through the final encounter through the Queen Metroid fight, through to the sequence with the regular Metroids, to the ending with the last Metroid. We took a bunch of fan questions. We talked about the ethics of Metroid 2. We talked about some of the evolutions and what we kind of liked and wanted to build off of for future games. And we also picked the next game for the next season of Gooey Plays Metroid. And appropriately enough, following Metroid 1 and Metroid 2, you know we're doing Super Metroid. So very excited about that. This game, actually, Gooey has played before, but it's been a long time. The first time he played it, I kind of insisted that he do so. And so now, with a little bit more context, we're going to go back. We're going to explore Zebes and see what we can... take away this second time around. So it was a really great experience with Metroid 2. I don't think it's much of a spoiler to say Goo really enjoyed the game. I really enjoy Metroid 2 a lot, and we had a really fun time kind of talking about it. So check that out, patreon.com/SBNet.
Yeah, this has been a really fun series just to kind of see Gooey like kind of almost like get into the series somewhat in an old school way, because you don't typically see this kind of progression nowadays when it comes to Metroid knowledge. Granted, he's also played Metroid Prime and Metroid Prime 4 as well, so it's not like a perfect one-to-one comparison, but yeah, it's like really cool watching Goo go from like Nestroid, and like now we're seeing him do Super Metroid. I'm curious what is going to happen after Super Metroid, because I feel like there's all sorts of directions you can go in after Super, but at this rate, at this point, may as well just go to Fusion next, I say.
I think so. I think we're not even going to do a poll. Like, I think we just got to call the audible, because like the Metroid games that Goo has played prior to the series were Metroid Prime 4, Metroid Prime, Super Metroid, and Metroid Dread. So kind of your big ones. Like most people will have probably played these games. So really, Metroid Fusion is the only missing link from the 2D saga. So I'm thinking we kind of tidy that up, we finish it, and maybe we could do just like a short one on Metroid Dread. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it has to be too drawn out for that. But yeah, Metroid Fusion seems to be the next logical step. And I am curious, because in a lot of ways, Gooey is a gamer much like myself. So I'm curious if we're going to share some of the same thoughts, some of the same critiques about Metroid Fusion. So we'll see. I'm really excited for that one, though. And of course, we'll have to do Zero Mission and Samus Returns as well.
I was going to say, so kind of in my corner, I'm also kind of not Gooey Plays Metroid, but I'm watching one of my former college roommates. He's playing some Metroid games for the first time. I've been posting some clips from Zero Mission specifically in our Discord, and I think Zero Mission might actually be his favorite game in the series. He freaking loved that game. So before we met, he played Fusion and Metroid Prime 3, and then Dread came out when we were actually rooming together, and he really enjoyed that too. Aside from Metroid, I think the only Metroidvania he's played is Hollow Knight. And then most recently, he got around to Metroid Prime Remastered, which he adored. And then I didn't expect him to do another Metroid game right after, but he decided to start up Zero Mission on NSO right after. And yeah, that game, that even more than the others, that game just like really clicked and hooked him in. He was actually using our Omega Metroid guide too to do some of the crazier Shine Spark puzzles too, which I was posting in the Discord. I was so proud of my boy for getting early super missiles. Has to be one of my favorite.
Yeah, that's great.
Has to be one of my favorite sequence breaks of all time in Metroid. So, and seeing him pull off all this tech and use our guide was making me proud. And by the end of it, he got the 100% and he gave it a 10 out of 10. He absolutely adored Zero Mission. So very, very cool to see that happening.
Yeah, like definitely not a lot not to adore in Zero Mission, to be honest. I was actually watching mutual of mine, Retro Game Books, who published the that book that I was a part of doing an interview, and the name, of course, is now escaping me off the top of my head of the book. But he was streaming AM2R and playing it for the first time, and I was kind of sitting on the couch hanging out with Zora, so I was like, I'm gonna pop in and watch, and just seeing someone go through that for the first time too was great. And I was like, cheap plug, but like if you get stuck, we have we got a map over on OmegaMetroid.com. So yeah, love seeing new people play Metroid. So patreon.com/SPNet. Go check it out. Gooey Plays Metroid. And we recorded new episodes of the ZeldaCast XL. The Stardew cast with Allison Aletha and Samantha Spiteri just dropped as well. And a new episode of Middle Earth, the podcast, talking about all of the latest news for The Hunt for Gollum, the Stephen Colbert Shadows of the Past, Lord of the Rings film. So lots and lots and lots of good stuff over there for you to check out. All right, dude, let's get over to the news, because we do have quite a lot to get to here. And I think that we should start off just by talking about something monumental, really, that happened in the world of Nintendo this last week, and that is longtime Nintendo designer, director, producer, and current executive officer Takashi Tezuka is going to be retiring as of June 2026. He's going to be stepping down from his role. I don't know if they explicitly said retiring, much like Tanabe before him, though. He is going to be stepping away from his role at Nintendo, and this is a really, really like huge piece of news. Like, this is one of the godfathers of Nintendo. Like, I think that when people think of Nintendo, they often think of Shigeru Miyamoto as this creative genius, and he is. But right there with him, almost the entire way, is Tezuka, and you could almost say Takashi Tezuka is like the Luigi to Shigeru's Mario in a lot of ways.
Pretty much, yeah. That's a great analogy, actually.
And so like, chances are, like, if you are listening to this podcast, you have played and enjoyed one of the games that that he has been involved with in some way. Like, Tezuka was involved in, I'm just going to, at random, pick some games here. Super Mario World, he was the main director. Super Mario 64, assistant director. Star Fox 64, supervisor. Ocarina of Time, supervisor. Paper Mario, supervisor. Like, he's worked as a producer on Animal Crossing, Super Mario Sunshine, like the Wind Waker, Mario and Luigi, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. You go on, and like, I'll just skip over to present day. Like, he's been involved in Yoshi's Woolly World, Breath of the Wild as a supervisor, Pikmin, like, you name it. Like, this man has had his hands in the most prolific and celebrated Nintendo games, basically since their existence. So it's gonna be, it's a little bit sad almost now that you're seeing kind of the changing of the guard as it is over at Nintendo. And of course, we wish Tezuka nothing but the best in retirement. It is certainly well earned. This man has been going hard for 40 years, since the early 80s. And I will say, I always loved the look of Takashi Tezuka. Like, he always had this, like, I don't even know what it's like. He looked like such a character, like the way is kind of like, he just, like, him and Miyamoto, I felt like were always like so colorful, and like they just had such a unique look to them that I was always really charmed by them. So I'm going to miss that, but yes, we did want to just of course wish Tezuka all the best in retirement, and it's a different Nintendo without him, for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, it's obviously, inevitable. People retire eventually, but it's also it's kind of like when Reggie retired, where it was just like this kind of shell shock, like, whoa, this is like borderline unrecognizable now, and it's something that's like, obviously it's going to take some time to adjust to, because, like, yeah, pretty much, like you were just saying, like, Tezuka has been, like, even if you've never heard of him before, has been an absolutely instrumental part in, like, the game development for, like, since we've been playing Nintendo to, like, the present day. And yeah, we'll probably to an extent, like, feel that even if we don't realize it, like, there's definitely going to be, some subtle changes in that regard. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. Crazy to think about that. Within the coming years, we're most likely going to see a lot of other, like, veterans enter retirement. I'm sure Sakamoto only has a few years left as well. He's in his, like, mid-60s now. Yeah, nothing but the best for Tezuka. I'm sure he's gonna have a ton of money to spend with his family and just live out the rest of his days in pure relaxation, which I think he's more than earned at this point. Yeah, it's one of those moments where it's like, yeah, very happy for him, but it's just like, wow, it's truly the end of an era.
It's crazy. 42 years of working for Nintendo, which is mind-boggling. So June 2026 is the date. So yes, we wish him all the best in retirement. And everyone out there, do yourself a favor. Go Google Takashi Tezuka and see his game, like, credits. I listed off a fraction of the games that he has worked on. It is nuts, the amount that he is credited for. It's truly, Metroid is actually one of the only series that I can see that's kind of an omission that he's not really credited for. But obviously the influence on Mario, Yoshi, Zelda, Pikmin, so many others. Just what a special talent that you'll probably never get another one of him again. And it is very safe to say Nintendo is not what it is without Tezuka. So all the best to him. Okay, from good news, do we want to call it good news? The retirement here. From happy news, how about that, to unhappy news. And lock in, everybody, because there is quite a lot of unhappy news here. And let's start with the biggest piece of consternation coming from the last couple weeks. It was made official. The rumors were out there, the rumblings were there, but officially now, Nintendo is going to implement a price increase on the Switch 2 systems globally. It's going into effect September 1st, 2026. Retail price of the Switch 2 is going up $50 American to $499 USD in the United States. It's going to be a whopping $679 in Canada and $499, or excuse me, euros over in Europe as well. And it is going to see a price increase of about, actually, I don't know what the price increase is, but it's going to cost about 60,000 yen in Japan as well. So this is, it stinks. There's no other way to put it. And Nintendo did release a statement. They said, "We sincerely apologize for the impact these price revisions may have on our customers and other stakeholders, and we deeply appreciate your understanding." And the decision was made, quote, "in light of changes in market conditions." So you can read between the lines. Like, if you've been watching the news, you know that there is this catastrophic war going on in the Middle East right now that was instigated by this administration and is a complete dumpster fire right now that is driving up costs for everything. As you could probably see by filling up your tank at the gas station, price of gas is nuts, which is also affecting the price of transportation as well. And additionally, one of the reasons that I'm sure that we can all just kind of point our eyes to is that you know what? They're building data centers for AI that nobody asked for, like it's going out of style, and that is using a lot of the resources that would maybe typically be used to produce like chips, memory, whatever you name it, for these consoles, which is driving up the demand and thus the price. And the people that are paying for that are you and I. So it's definitely some bad news, and I've seen a lot of reaction to this, Doom. A lot of visceral reaction, people upset at Nintendo. And I'm not going to say that, like, listen, you shouldn't be upset. And I'm not even going to say necessarily that you shouldn't be upset at Nintendo. But I do think that there is definitely somewhere where there's definitely a way that to channel your anger to the appropriate parties. Because it's a much bigger... it's a much bigger conversation than just Nintendo doing this. This is really, you're seeing this across all companies, all spheres. Prices are just going up big time right now. And yeah, I think that this is a policy discussion. I think it's an administration discussion. And I think if you're angry, just like we talked about with tariffs last year, you should absolutely channel that anger towards your officials, towards to where it needs to go. Right, for actual change to enact.
Yeah, pretty much 100% agree with everything you just said there. And yeah, like I definitely understand being frustrated at Nintendo, especially when you look at like some of the initial pricing with the launch Switch 2. I think a lot of people, like even almost a year out, are still like pretty understandably miffed about a lot of like those premium price increases before like a lot of this stuff started taking into effect. And so I definitely understand it from that angle. But like you said, you know, these price increases and reactions, you know, this isn't, I'm not saying Nintendo's not a greedy company, but this is definitely, I do believe them when they say that this is absolutely a reaction to everything that you mentioned that's going on, especially because we're seeing this widespread across the industry. And arguably with a Nintendo Switch, you know, again, not to defend Nintendo, but you're seeing it at least right now to a lesser degree than you're seeing with Sony and Microsoft. I mean, like literally just a few episodes ago, you know, I was talking about how like the freaking PlayStation 5 Pro is $900 in the United States. Probably over $1,000 in Canada, I would imagine, which is just, I remember when the $600 PlayStation 3 like nearly lost Sony out on that generation completely. And wild to see like where we are now, where it's like a $600 PS PS5 Pro, like people would be like begging for that nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sucks. I will say definitely glad I got my Switch 2 right now so I don't have to worry about that. But and I will say it's kind of funny that it's happening on September 1st, which is my birthday. But I do also most of these price increases when they happen, usually the manufacturers only give like a week notice. I do think it's nice that Nintendo gave like a few months notice at the very least, which they are in a bit of a different position since the Switch 2 is brand new hardware, whereas Series X, PlayStation 5, those have already been on the market for years. So maybe you could argue that maybe you didn't need as much of a window, but I do think it's nice that at least there is like you have a few months to save up your money, to plan out, kind of to see if like maybe there's a sale that's happening, if you want to jump on that before the price increase, because I've seen a lot of people that are trying to get it on some of like the sales that happen on occasion. So
we'll talk about that in a quick second, actually, because there is a silver lining. You're right. I do want to mention as well, and I don't want to be the defend Nintendo guy, but the rest of that quote that I mentioned earlier from Shintaro Furukawa basically says, like, quote, "While we wanted to prioritize a wide adoption, it was challenging to bear the rising costs over the long period. The new pricing does not fully account for the cost increases." So a lot of people were out there, even some in our Discord, saying like Nintendo should just sell the consoles at a loss and take the hit because they have a lot of money. And like, you can certainly think that for sure. I don't know that there is a lot of companies that would necessarily do that, except for maybe a Microsoft, who famously sold the Xbox at a loss for, I don't know if they've ever made a profit on the consoles actually, but certainly for the first like generation or two, they were selling them at a loss. But that's also kind of Microsoft's MO, is they come in and they sell, they come in hot, they sell whatever it is they're selling at a loss, they undercut all the competition, and then they will drive prices up at a later date. And you've kind of seen that. And they are also one of the leaders in this AI movement, I guess. Let's just be charitable and call it that. So yeah, like I don't know how realistic that actually is. And obviously, like you're talking about Nintendo, who certainly more so than Sony or Microsoft relies on video game hardware sales and software sales as the main part of their overhead and their revenue coming in. So yeah, it was tough news. And I do want to say, because I want to take the other way as well. So Furukawa also said that the higher prices may create an additional barrier to entry, but Nintendo is confident that a, quote, robust software lineup will help, quote, enhance the Switch 2 ownership value for consumers. This is where I am going to take them to task and say, like, I'm sorry, we're coming up on 1 year of the Switch 2, and we're gonna do a review for 1 year, and I don't know if right now, 1 year in, you can say that the Switch 2 software lineup is robust. Like, yeah, we've had Donkey Kong, it's great. Pokopia was a big hit, but like, we're talking like a console that's a year in. There's no Mario announced, there's no Zelda announced, there's no Animal Crossing announced, and there's no Smash Bros announced, and those are kind of your big ones. Plus, and to be fair, there is Pokemon coming in 2027, so there is that. But Mario Kart World came out, and it seemed like it came out and like just kind of died like right away, where it came out, there was not really any additional support for it. There hasn't been as of yet. I'm sure that there probably will be, but like, we're almost a year into Mario Kart World, and like, there's been no updates or nothing. So like, it seems like that, like, Mario Kart is traditionally like your big kind of system seller, and it seems like Mario Kart World just kind of missed the mark on that.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, I think even if every single Switch 2 came like kind of universally knocked it out of the park. I mean, when you compare it to the Switch 1 year, I think the Switch 1 year one still dominates. But you compound that on top of that with like some of the mixed reception on a lot of these titles. Obviously, we've vocalized our thoughts on Metroid Prime 4. Dak and I vocalized our thoughts on Mario Kart World and stuff like that. And again, I don't even
I didn't think it was that great, actually, and I'm not a big Mario Kart guy.
And like I don't even necessarily think they're bad games. Like I would give Prime 4 a 7. I'd give Mario, yeah, I think Mario Kart World's fine for what it is. But like I don't think they hold, obviously I don't think they hold a candle to like, to like the majority of like, their entries, what I come to that series for. And a lot of other people felt the same way too. And yeah, Mario Kart World in particular, like that's a game, like Tamagotchi Life is the game that's dominating social media right now. Mario Kart should be that game that's dominating social media. Like you should see people, getting all these sick clips and talking about the new characters and the tracks that are added. But it's nothing. You occasionally get some tune-up updates, but yeah, I don't want to say the game is dead. I mean, obviously, it's it's the best-selling Switch 2 title right now, so like people are definitely playing it. It is Mario Kart, but like that game should be a bigger deal than it is right now.
Totally. No question about it. And I agree with you. It's not like it's bad. It's just not. It's not Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is like it seems like a step backwards, and I think the whole software lineup in general seems like a step backwards. And we can be fair, and we'll expand on this future, but like Switch 1 may have had the greatest first year of any console ever. Like I think you could put that up against any console, any manufacturer ever, and you could have a real discussion that like this is the best of like the first year software release ever. I think you could have that discussion.
And to be fair, Switch 1 was also in a very different position where,
Totally.
they just came off the Wii U and Nintendo needed to just throw the kitchen sink at it. Like they needed to make a big statement.
The best. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, Switch 2 didn't need that.
Exactly, yeah.
But they might need it now, like with these price increases, to be honest. Because the forecast is certainly less than the Switch is. And I don't think you're ever going to catch the Switch, but we'll see, I guess, and see where it goes. But let's share some positive news. Maybe that before, so it's not all doom and gloom. Nintendo did say it was announced, I believe either earlier today or yesterday. Early June, participating retailers will offer a Nintendo Switch 2 Choose Your Game Bundle edition for the suggested retail price of $4.99 USD. And you will get, so it's very similar to the Mario Kart bundle, but now you can choose between Mario Kart, Donkey Kong Bonanza, or Pokemon Pokopia. So there is that if you're looking to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 and you're wanting to get a cheaper game. You know what? I think Donkey Kong Bonanza is really fun and worth the. It's probably one of the best first party titles that's on the Switch 2 right now. So that would be my recommendation. I know a lot of people really enjoyed Pokopia. So if you are thinking about getting a Switch 2, at least it's you can get a cheaper game bundled in with it for now.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's basically the Mario Kart bundle, but now you have just a little bit more customizability with it, which I think I think that's great because I definitely think you have a different player base that's going to be attracted to Pokopia. Mm-hmm. Donkey Kong is kind of like your big AAA single player driven kind of Switch 2 headliner right now, so I think that makes sense as well. So I think you have a pretty good assortment to choose from in terms of your titles there.
Well, let's keep going here, Doom, and we got more news, and actually we've got breaking news to share that I have just seen. So let's start with this, and it's negative.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Metroid Dread developer MercurySteam suffers a lot of layoffs, unfortunately. So they're the latest studio to be hit with layoffs. Quote, "There is no easy way to share this kind of news," the independent studio said in a LinkedIn post announcing the layoffs, calling it a workforce adjustment process. So the number of staff affected wasn't specified, but MercurySteam is saying it's trying to focus its efforts on handling the situation with care. So I don't know what that means. I'm going to read the whole statement right here, and I'm assuming that this is translated as well. I'm just reading off of Nintendo Life right now, so shout out to them for reporting on this. Quote, "We want to express our deepest respect, gratitude, and support for the people affected whose talent, effort, and commitment have been an important part of the studio's history. If your studio or company is looking for experienced developers, please feel free to contact us at whatever their email is, personalityculture at MercurySteam. We will do everything we can to help these professionals find new opportunities. Over the coming weeks, we will focus all our efforts on handling this process with the utmost responsibility, humanity, and respect for everyone involved." Yikes.
Yeah, that sucks.
That sucks. That definitely sucks. Hard not to potentially think that this has something to do with that game that they just put out for PlayStation, whose name is escaping me, but I don't know that it was a hit. Do you know what game I'm talking about?
Yeah, the one that released last year, the sword fighting game.
Yes, I'll find the game here. But what do you think?
We literally we used the game in the thumbnail the last time we talked about MercurySteam.
Blades of Fire. That's what it is.
Yeah. Didn't review amazingly, and I'm sure sales didn't match it either. Yeah, that's a freaking bummer.
News. Tough news. I know I've thrown this idea out a couple of different times, and I really think there's an opportunity for Nintendo to come in and like invest in this studio and invest in the people there, and maybe give it some stability with leadership and with what is going on now with layoffs. It seems like there's a lot of stuff going on in MercurySteam that they could maybe use a guiding hand for. And you know, say what you will about Nintendo, and you can say a lot, but I think that MercurySteam would benefit from having kind of that structure that Nintendo would certainly bring to them. Because like we're also talking about a studio where, like, you know, we're talking about like Metroid 6 is hopefully going to be announced imminently, or there are the rumors of a Super Metroid remake, which actually we're going to get into next week, which you got to think that MercurySteam is going to be handling, right? So I don't know, but like the future of MercurySteam does kind of seem a little bit at a crossroads here, right? Like, because it seemed like when Samus Returns and certainly Dread came out, it's like, man, we've got this developer, they're locked in, they're going to be our Metroid guys. They know what makes a good Metroid game, undeniably, right? Like, and now you're just like, can these guys work on another Metroid game? Do they have the infrastructure? Do they even have the staff? Are the people that worked on Dread even there anymore? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really hard to say. I don't think 2D Metroid is in jeopardy by any means, but yeah, definitely.
No, but I think 2D Metroid from MercurySteam is. Like it might be another developer that's going to be doing the next 2D Metroid if they don't maybe necessarily like find stability.
Yeah, it's. I don't think we're there. It sounds more like it's downsizing. I mean, maybe I am wrong. Maybe they are like in jeopardy of like going bankrupt, but to me it doesn't sound like we're at that point yet. Still not good news. I'm not trying to like minimize.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying they're going to go bankrupt either. I'm just saying that like a studio that you've had problems with culture, you've had problems with staff being forced to work a lot of extra hours, you've had problems with just the cult, like what we talked about a couple months ago, plus now these layoffs. Like, is that a studio you want making Metroid 6 after Metroid Prime 4? You know, like I think it's fair to question that.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Yeah,
we will see. It's too bad because like I think everybody really wants MercurySteam to be successful and build off what they have already built with Metroid Dread and Metroid Samus Returns, two of the best Metroid games, you know. So yeah, it's we'll see. That's definitely not the news that you want to hear, though. That's for sure.
Definitely not. No.
No. Well, Doom, should we keep the news that you don't want to hear going? Because from MercurySteam,
rolling.
Well, we are rolling into the latest Nintendo financial call, and as is the case with Nintendo and their financial calls, they post all of the games, the software that has reached the million unit sold for their investors to see. And we reported a couple of months ago, I want to say back in end of December, maybe, makes sense. Maybe February.
End of December, early January. Yeah.
Something like that. And the story at the time was that, okay, Metroid Prime 4 has not cracked 1 million copies sold on the Nintendo Switch 2 edition or the Nintendo Switch 1 edition, but collectively it's cracked 1 million. We don't know exactly what the figures are, and we were thinking that we'll have to wait until the next financial call to really see what some of those numbers are. And, well, numbers have not changed. The sales for both titles have still not reached 1 million copies individually. Collectively, of course, we know that they have. Individually, it seems that those titles are still not at 1 million units sold. They were not on the call list, and that's too bad. That's really, like, that's really too bad, because I don't know, like, just like at what point, I guess, and is it this point that we can just officially say, like, this game is a total flop? And I think we have to be
definitely
harsh.
at that point.
Yeah.
I'm definitely at that point. Like, because think about, I think at this point, a lot of people are like trying to go, well, like, oh, it makes sense that like it didn't sell as much because, you know, the reception. Let's ignore all that. Like, before Metroid Prime 4 came out, if you told me that like by April, because that's what this forecast includes, it's sales up to the month of April. If you told me that by the month of April that collectively the Switch 1 and Switch 2 editions of Metroid Prime 4 would not hit 2 million, I would tell you, like, no, that's unacceptable. That's a failure. And so, again, that's like without any knowledge of, like, you know, what our thoughts would be on the game beforehand. That would be my opinion, and I'm sticking with that, even knowing, like, you know, how that game turned out to be. Yes, I think there's, you know, a lot of legitimate reasons that we can point to for those lack of sales, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a lack of sales and that ultimately, like, the sales are the sales. Yeah, I think Metroid Prime 4 is absolutely a financial failure. I'm definitely concerned about the future of Metroid Prime. I'm not doom and gloom about it. I think at this point, though, it's naive to just assume that Metroid Prime 5 is a guaranteed. There are absolutely conversations happening internally in Nintendo and Retro Studios about what they're going to do next. And yeah, I hope it's Metroid Prime 5. I don't think that's guaranteed anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think, like, I don't think that you can remove the critical reception from the sales. Like, I think they're so intrinsically tied together. Like, if Metroid Prime 4 was one of the best games of the year, I honestly think, like, this game would be selling a ton more, right? Like,
100%, yeah.
Like, the word of mouth was so negative from person to person that it really just, like, kind of handicapped this game from the get-go. So I'm not doom and gloom either. I'm actually a lot more kind of optimistic that there is going to be a Metroid Prime 5 announced somewhat quickly, for the reason being, like, you've invested a lot in, I'm assuming, this engine, and a lot in, hopefully, a lot of these assets that you can reuse for Metroid Prime 5. Like, I do wonder if they're just like, let's make a game. We have a lot of the foundation here. Let's make a game. Let's get it out. It has none of the baggage of the development of Metroid Prime 4. And let's just almost, like, try again. And hopefully this game is a lot more successful. Because I think at this point, like, it's very clear. Like, in order for these Metroid Prime games to be successful sales-wise, they need to be successful critically. Like, some franchises, you can separate the two. Like, you can release a bad Mario game and it'll still sell a ton. You could release a bad Pokemon game. I think, like, we've seen enough from Metroid where you could just know, like, even if you release the best Metroid game ever, that still might not be enough for it to sell a whole lot. And if you release a bad Metroid game, you're dead. Like, there's no other way to say it. So, the fact that this is, like, at under a million for both of them. And maybe, being charitable, maybe it's at 1.8 or 1.9 million, which I think is different than being at 1 million or 1.1 million.
Yeah.
But we don't know that, right? Like we just don't know that. So yeah, I think that there's just like no other way that you can slice it. Like this game was a flop critically, it was a flop commercially. I think it's something that everyone just wants to move beyond, no pun intended. I would be like I would be totally fine. Like I think like in some ways, like I do think that you want to like I think you want to try and salvage what you've done here and like maybe get another kick at the Silex story, because a lot of fans were invested in that. But if you also told me like we're just completely scrapping everything, Silex is done, Vuros is done, like everything's done with this, like I couldn't sit here and say like I think that's the wrong decision either. Like I think that there is a stank about Metroid Prime 4 that you do kind of want to move away from.
Yeah, and I guess where I'm sitting at is just because obviously, if I was Mr. Nintendo and I had the Infinity Gauntlet and I could do whatever I want, obviously I would immediately be commissioning Retro Studios for Metroid Prime 5. I'm like, hey, you know what? They had to pick up the pieces of something that was already a scrap build, and they had to, kind of make it polish this turd the best that they could. I want to see like Retro Studios, craft their own unique ideas and inspirations and see them build that from the ground up. And I think we're going to have a lot better luck with that. I'm also really curious to see how Risa Tabata, assuming that, she is the producer of the next Metroid Prime game. I'm really curious to see, how, what differences she's going to make from Tanabe. So I would really, I would love to like invest and take a gamble on that. But I, of course, am not Mr. Nintendo, and I don't have the Infinity Gauntlet, and I can imagine someone up in the business who is not a biased Metroid fan like I am might also look at that and be like, you know what? We tried investing into it. We took a huge loss on this. We need... I don't think Metroid Prime is going extinct. I think eventually we will see a Metroid Prime game. I just don't think that it's guaranteed that we're going to see, Retro Studios' next project is going to be Metroid Prime 5. I could definitely see Nintendo being like, hey, you know what? We tried something. This failed. We need to pull our cards back, rethink, and regroup for a little bit, sit on this, and then once we have a better idea, come back to this another time. Again, that's not the scenario I want. I think that's on the table, though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, like it definitely could be. And maybe Retro Studios shouldn't be making Metroid Prime 5. Like let's also explore that possibility. I think that Retro Studios certainly like say what you will about the troubled development, and we've talked a lot about that, but we've also talked a lot about how like, and granted, a lot of this was under the stewardship of Tanabe, but like we have talked a lot about some of the decisions that were made, particularly with the story, with the ending, and they just seem like decisions that no person should be making on a video game like this, frankly. Like, I don't know how else to say it. And so, like, I'm kind of thinking, like if Frieza Tanada is the right-hand woman of Tanabe, like, and we'll never know this, but like, was there pushback to this idea? Was there pushback on the idea that you want to make this game more accessible in terms of its level design for newer players? Like, what was there pushback, or did everyone just kind of like go along with this and be like, yes, Mr. Tanabe, great idea, right? Because like, I think if Retro Studios does that, then you should explore maybe like having some new blood in the Metroid Prime series. Like it worked for 2D Metroid, and granted, it didn't work for Metroid Prime 4. That's how we got into this whole debacle in the first place. But I
would also say going on, I think you bring up a good point with like pushback. As we were reading in the Prime's 1 through 3 retrospectives, like there was a lot of pushback going on between Retro and Nintendo during the crafting of those games. Maybe a little less so for Prime 3, but definitely Primes 1 and 2. Like there was a lot of pushback and like different directions that both sides wanted to go, and they kind of ultimately, obviously, Tanabe and, Nintendo NCL, they kind of had the final say, but, it did kind of come down to like a bit of compromise for everyone that ultimately created, these games that we love so much. And we don't really know if, what that was like on Prime 4. I would imagine probably less so than Primes 1 through 3. But but yeah, I do think that pushback, kind of like Retro with like kind of their unique philosophies that they have in Western game development versus Nintendo's influence with Eastern development. And I think those butting of heads, that pushback, and that ultimate compromise of getting the best of both worlds, I think that is an intrinsically important factor to that original Metroid Prime trilogy.
Yeah, and like, again, I do want to stress as well, like, there's so many factors with Metroid Prime 4, and you can't separate the development from the final game that came out. Like, clearly, if there was a deadline that had to be met, and there was stuff left on the table, like content wise, that just couldn't be in the game because they were trying to meet this deadline. The other thing too, like, clearly this game would have had a better chance of success had it launched with the Switch 2. I think we all kind of knew that, and Nintendo obviously didn't have the confidence in Metroid Prime 4 to launch alongside the Switch 2, and it's hard to argue with them looking at these results, but it's kind of like
I don't blame them.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's a what if. Like, what if this had just been given to Retro from the start? What if this would have been a Switch 2 exclusive? Would that have changed anything? Probably not. What if a lot of things, but I think the end result is it's hard to call Metroid Prime 4 really anything other than a bust or a flop, however you want to put it. But certainly, certainly one of the more disappointing entries in the Metroid series, if not the most disappointing entry in the Metroid series, and this just kind of caps it all off.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, but you were, I think, in one of our earlier episodes following our final Metroid Prime 4 review, I think you made the statement that Metroid Prime 4 is the most disappointing game you've ever played, and I think I agree with that in the sense that there's a difference between worst and disappointing. I have played significantly worse games than Metroid Prime 4. I think in a bubble, Metroid Prime 4 is a good game. There are more good things in that game that I enjoy than the bad things, but my goodness, do the bad things, they stick out like a sore thumb. They leave a bad taste in your mouth. They're the first things that you notice. And again, just in terms of like, one, the quality that I expect out of a Metroid game, the quality I expect out of a Metroid Prime game, the quality I expect out of a Retro Studios game, on top of like that 8-year wait, it just was a complete fumble across the board.
Pretty rough stuff. We will say this, we'll say this. At least it outsold Federation Force and Other M. So there is that. Okay, that's your.
I don't think we're gonna be on a 5-year hiatus, 6 years if you don't want to count Federation Force post Other M. So there is that at least, but yeah, like Metroid Prime 4 felt like this huge opportunity for the series, and yeah, this feels like, I don't want to say worst case scenario, but pretty close to worst case scenario.
Pretty close. Like a year ago, there was a lot of optimism about Metroid Prime 4, and to see where we have gone year over year with this game, it is totally what I was not expecting to be talking about Metroid Prime 4 in this capacity. We had to stop talking about Metroid Prime 4 on the podcast because it was just like too emotionally draining to be negative. It was too mentally
taxing. Yeah.
and we are going to pick up our Metroid Prime 4 discussion, but like we needed a break, because it really was like heartbreaking in a lot of ways to see this game that we wanted to be great so much, and we wanted to be this turning point for the series and this level up moment for the series just completely go the other way. I always make the analogy that like this is what it would have felt like if Breath of the Wild would have came out and been a bomb. Like, that's kind of
Yeah.
the moment that Metroid Prime 4 was gearing up for, and I dare say, Doom, like, this almost is worst case scenario. Like, the only other worst case scenario would have been if, like, the game was ugly and unplayable. And other than that, like, the story would have been as awful. It would have tanked sales-wise, would have had that negative reputation. Like, I don't know. It's tough.
I will say, and because I feel bad about like poo-pooing on this game, even if I think it absolutely deserves it. But like one of our staff members, Pikminir, just finally recently played through Metroid Prime 4 and absolutely loved it and adored it. I definitely don't agree with that, but I'm very happy that some people are getting some enjoyment out of this game.
And you know what? Like we said, the game has its moments. I thought the Great Minds was awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of the areas are great. It's just like, for me, the biggest sin was the story, and then the level design, and then the items, frankly. But what do you do? I guess except move on to Metroid Prime 5. But it is tough because now you're just like, you're kind of looking at 2D Metroid, and you're like, geez, like, what's going on with MercurySteam? Like, are we gonna have people to develop Metroid 6? Is that game already in development? Or, like, I don't know what's going on. And you're looking at Metroid Prime with Retro Studios, and you're like, are these guys the right team to make Metroid Prime 5? Should Metroid Prime 5 even be happening soon? I would make it happen soon, but I'm also a diehard Metroid fan, so I'm a little bit, I got my blinders on, right? So, to your point, like, yeah, maybe Nintendo's just like, nope, we're cutting bait and we're moving on. But I will say this. I think we talked about this before, Doom, but like I would give Retro another kick at the can with Metroid Prime 5, but like they've got a short leash.
Yeah, 100% agree.
So, which is also like really kind of unfortunate because like this is Retro Studios was kind of this studio that you thought of as like this wonder machine. They make games you can't miss with Retro Studios. Like every game of theirs has been awesome, and
Yeah, you got the Metroid Prime trilogy. You have two incredible Donkey Kong games, including one which I think is like one of the best 2D platformers of like the past couple of decades. And then yeah, you got Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Ravenblade could come out of retirement for Retro Studios. Maybe that's what we need to get back on track. All right, speaking of series coming out of retirement here, Doom, a couple of weeks ago, we reviewed the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and I really liked that movie, I gotta say. I thought that was a really fun movie. There are some people that were like, it needed to be deeper and funnier and more and I was like, you know what? Okay, yeah, you're right, but also like, I don't know. I don't go to Wendy's ordering Baconator expecting a gourmet burger, okay? Like, I kind of know what I'm getting into. But one of the parts for me that obviously really stood out was Fox McCloud. And when we left that movie, I was like, I think on the podcast I said, and I stand by this, like, my biggest takeaway from that movie is Nintendo would be crazy not to do something with Star Fox this year and capitalize on this right away, because Fox has never felt as hot as he does now. And you know what? To their credit, Nintendo has indeed capitalized on the Star Fox phenomenon here. So they've done it in a way that is a very Nintendo, very baffling way, and we'll break it down. But let's start off with the announcement of this game, which is called, frustratingly, Star Fox. It's just called Star Fox. And it was announced in a Nintendo Direct, quote unquote. And I say quote unquote because it was announced like 20 minutes before it actually happened, and then the Direct just took place. So it was basically like a Twitter drop where they released the trailer and they were like, here you go. And I have some thoughts about the game that we got. So I wanna start off and just say I will 100% be buying this game. So take this knowing that, because I love Star Fox, I support Star Fox, and I want more Star Fox games, and I am excited for a new Star Fox game to come out. But I was watching that trailer and I was just like, everything that is happening, everything that is being shown is the opposite of what I would do if I was Nintendo making this game. And so let's start off. you see, okay, you see the R-Wing, you see the environment, you're like, oh, this looks awesome. And then the Nintendo kind of comes in, and they also start off by showing you in this direct Fox from the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And Fox in that movie looks great. He looks awesome. He looks exactly how you would want Fox to look. He was cool. He was funny. And they show the game, and first of all, I want to talk about my two big issues, and I'll start with the lesser of the two, is that they show the game, the graphics look beautiful, and then you see Fox and Falco and Slippy and Peppy, and I don't know about you, but I was just like, what in God's name are we looking at right here? I hate the art style that they've chosen. They've chosen to go photorealistic here, and it looks really weird. It looks like Simba come to life from that god-awful live-action Disney Lion King movie, except now they're flying R-Wings. And you know, I will say, the reaction has been mixed to this. The reaction has been mixed. A lot of people really like it. And, you know, Goo was telling me, you know, I like the Fox look. He kind of looks like Fantastic Mr. Fox. And it's kind of like an homage to the 93 Star Fox artwork. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I still don't like it at all. I think Fox in particular looks bad. And I think the Star Fox team in particular looks bad. Because the Star Wolf team I actually think looks fine. But it's really weird. It's a really weird art style.
Yeah.
Fox looks like Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad. It's really... And the way, like, the characters are hunched over.
I can't unsee that now. Oh, my God.
Look at Fox straight on, okay? Like... They're hunched over. They've got these weird raptor legs, and it's just like, what is going on here? Like, what was if I was Nintendo? Okay, first of all, I simply would not choose this art style because I think it looks bad. But if I've got my business hat on, okay, I'm just like, I'm gonna make an art style that looks identical or as close to the Illumination Fox as I possibly can, so that when 8-year-old Timmy is walking through Walmart with his mom, and he's like, it's Star Fox from Mario, maybe that mom buys this game. Instead, he's just like, ugh, what's that creature on the cover of this game? So for that reason alone, I was just like, oh my God. There's a bigger issue that we'll get to, of course, and everyone knows what it is, but we'll get there in a sec. What do you think of the way that this game looks? I will say it's got great memes. Great memes.
Yes, yeah, the memes have been absolutely phenomenal. I've been really enjoying that.
And you know what? Sorry, one other thing. I will say, I was having a rough last couple weeks, and this like totally was a bright spot. Well, seeing all the memes, and I was like, thank God. So in a way, I don't like hate it. Like it's not a crippling problem, but I don't love the art style.
Yeah. So I think our thoughts on the game are pretty similar, especially for what we're going to talk about next. In terms of the character designs, I feel like I'm fine with them for the most part. Fox and Falco are really the only ones that I take umbrage with. I think Slippy and Peppy look fine, and I really like the look of the Star Wolf team. Pigma, I actually think really benefits from kind of this disgusting, grotesque kind of like almost photorealistic look with his the disgusting curly and twingy hairs that like come out of his snout and all that. Like I think it actually like works really well for like Pigma. And I think most of the cast like looks pretty fine, but yeah. Fox, I don't even hate the design so much. I hate the way that all the characters are like hunched over. There's something about the way Fox in particular is hunched that just gives me the ick.
Yeah,
and I don't like, and then Falco's design I just don't like all around. I don't like his design at all. I don't think the photorealistic art style works for him at all. Honestly, I feel like the Ritos in like the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are better Falco lookalikes than the actual Falco in this game. If I'm being completely honest. On that same metric though. Character models aside, like you said, this game looks freaking gorgeous. Like I remember when Star Fox Zero, when the gameplay of that was first shown off, and I was like so excited, like, oh my gosh, we're finally gonna see HD Star Fox, and you see the game in action, and it's like, looks okay. It looks okay. It's not this game. This game, like the environments in this game, the particle effects, the animations, all look wonderful. I especially love the new R-wing design and like all of like the different moving parts that it has now. Like when the G diffusers activate in that kind of intro cutscene on Corneria, and you see like kind of like the turbine shifting and all the mechanical parts moving about. Like I think that's awesome. Like that looks all fantastic. And as for the character models themselves, for the most part, you know, when you're playing the game, you know, they're going to be kind of in that lower third corner of the screen. You're really only going to notice them in the key art and like some of the new cutscenes that they added. So yeah, I don't like it, but the more I thought about it, that's been really less of an issue. I think the voice acting is pretty awful, which you'd think would be a weird complaint for a Star Fox game that's like supposed to be cheesy and, you know, corny and over the top, which is what I want out of Star Fox. But like, again, Fox and Falco in particular, I think Slippy and Peppy sound fine, and I haven't heard the Star Wolf voice cast yet, but like Fox and Falco, they sound like they sound like a couple of teenagers that work at Spencer's. Like I want to see like some cheesy Nintendo-fied Top Gun dialogue. That's what I want from my Star Fox game. But no, you have Falco going like, "Come on, Fox, let's go already." And I'm like, "Nah, this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it." So I would say that's probably a bigger issue for me than the character designs, and obviously the next thing that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. I can live with the character designs. They don't like, they're not game ruining because the rest of the game looks great, but I think that Fox in particular and then like the rest of his team look bad, which is tough because like that's who you're seeing the most of. I think James McLeod looks cool in this, actually.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So it's weird that Fox looks like he's like 65, and just I don't know. I wasn't a fan. Could I warm up to this? Maybe, but not right now. But clearly, like the bigger. What were you gonna say? Let's dump on Fox. I was gonna say.
I was just a quick thought. I was just gonna say, I remember back when we were complaining about the Donkey Kong redesign. It's like, man, I had no idea what we were in for.
And you know what? That's one that I still don't love, actually. Like, I still am not a big fan of the Donkey Kong redesign, but even that wasn't as drastic as this. And granted, like, Fox has different designs, like, from game to game. Like, it's almost Zelda-like, where, like, there's a totally different art style with each game. So, you know, there's a chance, like, this game is looking the way it is, and the next game maybe reverts back to something a little less startling, like when you look at Fox.
Right. But I definitely prefer the rare design for DK. I've haven't been quiet about that, but I've also warmed up to the new design and all, and I don't hate that by any means. Whereas this is just like, ugh.
Yeah, and you know what? There could be an element too where it's just like you got to get used to something. Potentially, like I could hear that argument, particularly with DK, who like looked the same for so long. So like that could be a thing. But yeah, Star Fox, like the look changes so much that I just this one is not my favorite. The biggest problem here though is, so they are doing the trailer, and what do you think is the best way to capitalize on all this momentum that Star Fox has coming out of the movie? We know that it's not to make it look like he was in the movie, which, you know what? That's fine. I can live with that. But Nintendo was like, I know what to do. We're going to remake Star Fox 64 again, baby. Yeah. And when I heard that, and it was like, this is a reimagining or a remake of Star Fox 64, my eyes almost rolled out of my head. I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. And I am going to give some credit and say I can understand the idea behind maybe wanting to release a sure thing, because the last new, quote unquote new Star Fox game you made was a flop and not good at all. So I can maybe see the idea where you're just like, oh, we got to release a sure thing to capitalize on Star Fox. Man.
Well, that's the thing. The last new Star Fox was also a reimagining of Star Fox 64.
I have this crazy chart, Doom, that it's just like, because I was like, this is the fourth, I think, time they're remaking this game. And actually, that's incorrect. This is the third iteration of Star Fox 64, but it's the fifth iteration of the exact same story. So you have Star Fox 93 on the SNES. That is our starting point. It's a video game, okay? Then you draw a straight line to Star Fox 64, which is a reboot of that with better fleshed out story, graphics, controls, yada yada. And from here we go Zelda timeline on Star Fox 64. And one branch goes to the remaster, which is Star Fox 3D. Star Fox 64 3D on the 3DS. And then the other branch goes reimagining, which is Star Fox Zero on the Wii U. And then the final branch is remake, which is Star Fox, which I hate that it's just called Star Fox on the Switch 2. So you've got a reboot, a remake, a reimagining, and a remaster in here. I'm waiting for the Star Fox 64 retool to come out.
Yeah.
Like what are... Oh my god, like, come on. We got to move this franchise forward here, for God's sakes. Like, there has been... Like, we have told this story so many times. This franchise has not had a new story told in 20 years since Star Fox Command. Technically, I guess Star Fox 2 on the SNES, but, like, that doesn't really count. Like, we have...
Right.
We have Star Fox Adventures, Assault, and Command, and then they were just like, you know what? Let's just start retelling Star Fox 64 a bunch of times. Like... I can understand, like, you know, Star Fox 64 3D, that's, you know, one thing. Like, the 3DS was, you know, porting a lot of N64 games and wanting to show them off in 3D. That's whatever. And then at least with Star Fox Zero, that's like, okay, it's an original new game, but let's try to tap into, like, Star Fox 64, which is kind of like that's where pretty much all... I would say Star Fox 64 and Smash Brothers is like pretty much all of like Fox's cultural zeitgeist. And 64 is like by far the best-selling game in that series. I can understand like why for Zero you'd want to tap into a lot of that. But like the general consensus pretty much from them is like, okay, we're Star Fox 64 now. Like, yeah, there's definitely some core elements from that game that you'd probably want to bring in, but like we don't have to... You know, we don't have to base large portions of the game of Star Fox 64. Like, we need something new and fresh and exciting that we haven't seen before. And this is literally we were talking about like what we would want to see in a Star Fox game. I can't remember if it was during our Smash episode or another, but I think you and I both, like, the first thing we said is like, please, for the love of God, don't do Star Fox 64 game. And that's literally, before we even saw the trailer, first thing they said is like, we're doing Star Fox 64 game. Which was like, well, it's crazy.
There we are. and here's the thing. I think it would have gone better, a lot smoother, if they did the Tomb Raider approach, where last year at the Game Awards, they announced, hey, we're remaking the very first Tomb Raider, but year or two after down the line, you're finally getting the brand new Tomb Raider game that you've been waiting ages for. And so they announced both of them together. I think if they did that with Star Fox, they'd be like, hey, listen, we're starting off with the remake of Star Fox 64 to kind of, you know, get this team kind of like in the mindset of what making a Star Fox game is like. We want to get those core fundamentals out of the way, but hey, here's a little tease of the future to come. I think that would have gone over a lot smoother, at least for me, but yeah, at this point, it's just like...
I can't believe we're doing this again. Like, I just... And like, I've seen a lot of people kind of echo what you just said, where it's like, well, you know what, they're probably doing this and then gearing up to make like a new Star Fox game. And you know what? Maybe that's the case, and maybe it'll all work out. But I also think, like, Star Fox right now is as hot as he's ever been. And who's to say that in a year or two when that game comes out, the new game... he's going to be as hot. And like, is Star Fox like 64 the game that you want like to capitalize on that, or do you want a new Star Fox game? And obviously the answer is they want Star Fox 64 because they're doing it and it's probably easier to do. And I mean, hey, you know, I guess I can't blame them for going back to the sure thing, but like, I don't know. Maybe there's a Star Fox movie in the works and they're saving a new Star Fox game for like when that comes out. But I think that it's just like an opportunity kind of gone by. And I'm sure this game will be good and be successful. And maybe this is kind of like an in the weeds kind of Nintendo fan where this game is designed for maybe the more casual fan. But at the same time, the Switch 2 costs a ton of money, and like really only your big Nintendo fans are probably getting this. And I don't know if this is the game that Nintendo fans want. And it's like, well, if this game doesn't sell very well, are we kind of back in the same position? Well, nobody wants Star Fox. And it's like, well, no, nobody wants Star Fox 64 again. And yeah, like there are like a lot of aspects of this game that look really good. Like the multiplayer, I think, looks really great. Even some like the gimmicks that were in this game, I'm sure will be fun with like the AR like face moving that you can do with like Fox and his crew. Like it looks silly, but like whatever, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I actually kind of love that. It's like, hey, you can kind of make your own version of like the radio chatter in the bottom. It's a little it's a little janky, but also kind of responsible for some of the memes as well that have popped up. But I don't know. I think that's like a cute little Nintendo gimmick that like you wouldn't really see anyone else trying to do.
Totally.
Not something that's gonna sell the game, but just something kind of fun on the side that you can do with that. I will say also the prices on this game is like I think
it's a little bit cheaper, right?
Yeah. And what's really nice, because we were talking about this before when Nintendo announced kind of their new digital pricing strategy where we kind of didn't really know what direction they're going on. It does look like, at least now with the few releases that have been announced with this pricing structure, it does seem like the physical prices aren't going up. It does seem like digital prices are going to be $10 less. But also, and I don't know if this is the same in Canada, but at least here in the States, not all the retailers, but a lot of like big box retailers are matching their physical prices with the digital prices. I think Walmart and I don't know if it's Amazon. I know Walmart is for sure. So if you are a physical collector, you might also potentially be able to get the physical copy at that digital price as well. Which I think for $50, as unenthusiastic I am for a Star Fox 64 remake, I think $50 for that is like actually like pretty good.
Yeah, like the price. You know what, like. This will probably all be fine. Like the game will probably come out. It'll probably be good. And like it'll probably sell decently because it's a cheaper title and hopefully there's some appeal. I just like I can't lie. Like I was so disappointed in the reveal that this is Star Fox 64 again. Now, here's what I will say, and I said this in Discord. I could have lived with a Star Fox 64 remake in the same art style as like the movie, which by the way, Takaya Imamura, the Star Fox team's original character design, also said, I don't like this photorealistic look. I like the look of the movie.
That's actually not true. That's a bit of a misleading headline. What he said is that he personally prefers the look of the movie with how cute and cuddly it looks, and he loves that interpretation of Fox. He did say that he also liked the new direction and how it like took a lot of influence, because he basically said that like, yeah, this is kind of what I had in mind when I was drawing up those original characters. So I wanted to clarify that there. He was not poo-pooing on the new designs, but
it's not exactly a ringing endorsement either. Let's just say
he said he likes both. But anyways,
what else is he supposed to say? I guess like I will say this, like it doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement to me, and I will also say there were some Star Fox plushies that were announced to come out, and like they actually have them lined up in the same kind of same way that the key art from the game is lined up, and I think these look awesome. I would have had that as the art style of this game. Like I think they look great.
Yeah, do like the Muppet style 2015 presentation.
Dude.
Do that as the art.
so I'd like the art style was bad. But the fact that it was a remake was bad, but I could have lived with it if it had the right art style, and I could have lived with this new art style if it was a new game. And the combination of both of them to me is just kind of like, not something that I am so excited about. Now, here's where I think this game can exceed expectations. Like, if it's just like a straight up remake, like whatever. if they're gonna go like Zero Mission or Samus Returns with this game and like expand, and you kind of got a hint of that, like with the James McLeod preview. I don't think that's playable, but like at least it's kind of something new that you don't see in Star Fox 64. So you know, there's that. I think that could be something, and make this worthwhile if that is the case. I'm not holding my breath.
I'm not either. My friend Austin, we were actually talking about this because we both had some thoughts on it as well, and he was kind of proposing like, you know, I think this might have gone better if like, hey, you know, you finally have Star Fox 2, released after like all these years of being kept in the
hidden.
deepest, darkest crevices of Nintendo. What if this remake, because technically Star Fox 64 is a remake of the original Star Fox, what if this new reboot was Star Fox 1 and 2 all remade? I think that would have gone over a lot smoother for me personally, at least, just because like,
sure.
I think you told me you haven't played Star Fox 2 either, and so at
I
least
played
even
Star Fox 2.
if it was based, oh, you have?
Yeah, and I will
Okay.
say it's different to. I actually played Star Fox 2 like a couple of days before this was announced. I was just kind of schmucking around. It's very different than Star Fox 1. Like the combat is the same, but like if you want to call it, like the overworld is vastly different, where it's almost like Star Fox Command in that it's like a tactics game where like you have to move your ship to the but I agree that would have been awesome. Like if they would have done both. I do not think you would have any of this criticism at all.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Star Fox. I am also going to shout out. I hate that it's just called Star Fox. I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I agree. I thought we were over like this trend in like the 2010s where like we were rebooting properties by just calling them the original name. Like I love Doom 2016. I hate that it's just called Doom. I hate it so much. And I thought we were finally past that trend, but no, we back in this again.
Okay. Imagine the next Zelda game is just called The Legend of Zelda. Like what are we doing? What are we doing here? There it is. The Star Fox. Now, you know, I want to follow up on one other thing that you said. Okay, and you didn't see this, but I posted in Zelda Dungeon, and I was like, because a bunch of us were talking about the announcement of Star Fox here, and you had said a controversial statement, Doom, but I was like trying to think, and I was like, there might be something to this, that this was the biggest dud of a game announcement since Metroid Prime Federation Force. And so immediately I dismissed that. But then I thought about it, and I was like, okay, clearly it's not as big of a dud as Federation Force, right? Like, no way.
Nowhere near as, yeah.
But since then, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, okay, what's really went down sideways? And I think I can think of some things, but like a lot of them were like Smash Bros. Character, like the Byleth immediately came to mind as something that was just like mass rejected by fans. But that's not a new game. I think that even Corrin to an extent got that a little bit, not as bad as Byleth, but like a little bit. That kind of reception existed as well. I think that the reception around the release of the NES Classic was really rough, but that was more so due to scalpers and like the shortage of the console itself. So I don't know if that counts either. I'm trying to think of another game that I just saw such kind of like, I don't know, just not vitriol, because I wouldn't say people were like mad, but like just kind of like a ugh. And I don't know.
The only other game I can think of is Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, but that was announced on the same direct as Metroid Prime Federation Force, so I don't think that counts.
That one was kind of a stinker. I remember that. God, you just saw those like 100 amiibo that they made everywhere after. 'Cause I mean, I feel like the Switch had like just hit after hit after hit. So there might be some merit to that. So like we might have to take this away and think, but like because there was definitely a lot of backlash for this, and there's got to be a title out there, like it just the announcement of the title. Like we've definitely had bad games since then, but like I remember when Mario Soccer was announced, like everyone was really excited, and then the game turned out not to be very good, and it was like that's too bad. I don't know. Like that might be a legitimately true statement. Like, it could be. I can't. What was the reaction around DK Bonanza? Was that one kind of, well?
I was excited when that was first announced.
I think that was definitely more positive than Star Fox for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the game obviously like reviewed exceptionally well too.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So I definitely would not include DK at all in this whatsoever.
You might have something there. Like, this could be,
and especially with like kind of like the roller coaster, I feel like is pretty unique to this game, Federation Force and Amiibo Festival, where it's like, you know, Federation Force, you see the Metroid logo, so for a brief moment you're like excited, and then you're like, wait a minute, what am I looking at right now? And then with Amiibo Festival, it looks like you're getting a new Animal Crossing game, and it's like this awful Mario Party spinoff with bad Amiibo implementation, and yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually like, I'm browsing the Smash Bros roster to try and just quickly see like if there is a, Hey Pikmin wasn't all that great either, but I don't think that was anywhere near Star Fox levels of just kind of like rejection.
Yeah.
You might be onto something. Like, feel free if you're out there to tell us an announcement that went down worse than that. Like, we're making it sound really bad. Like, at the end of the day, like it's gonna be fine. But yeah, I wouldn't say that was the best announcement for Star Fox.
I'm not enthusiastic. I'm confident that it's going to be a fun game, though.
Yeah, me too.
It's not the game. It's not the game we need right now, though.
Definitely not. All right, folks. Well, we did indeed run out of time for our topic, so we'll save it for another day. We are going to talk about what we would want if a Super Metroid remake were to happen next week. So we're on this remake train. Remakes are a hot topic. Apparently, Ocarina of Time remake is coming out. We're going to be talking about that on the Zelda cast, what we would want if it's true. We'll do the same thing for Super Metroid, and we'll see if we get a direct in June, because, man, we could use one, because that robust software lineup really dries up after Yoshi in the Book comes out. Because I don't know what else is coming out for my Switch 2 beyond Star Fox and Yoshi here. So,
I feel like a lot of people are fine with living off Tamagotchi life right now. At least I will say, at least the Tamagotchi life memes have been phenomenal as well. I've really been enjoying that. Unfortunately with Tamagotchi life, I'm just not creative enough to like really engage in like the actual creation process that myself. So I just kind of like to live vicariously through everyone else's creations.
I don't even know what the hell that game is. Is it Animal Crossing? Is it like having one of those, what were those things called, like Neopets or whatever? Like, I don't know what this game is. This game has sold like 4 million copies though, so clearly it's a hit, but it's a Switch 1 game.
In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
So
I told everyone Tamagotchi life was going to be massive. Everyone thought I was crazy. I'm like, dude, the 3DS game sold great. Granted, the Switch one is at the end of its life cycle, but like, nah, this game is going to be a smash hit.
Yeah, I think you could say it's a smash hit already. Like,
yeah, 3
million and change copies. Like, I don't know what it is, but you know what? That's okay. It's for people that enjoy it. But I do know that I am desperately needing and wanting a big game to look forward to for the conclusion of 2026 for my Switch 2, because I wouldn't say this first year has really been anything to brag about in terms of software releases. So we'll see if that happens.
Most definitely.
And talk about it when hopefully it does. So there we go. All right, Doom, anything before we get out of here?
I don't know. I hope the Star Fox game review's great. I know, like, I'm disappointed. It's anticlimactic. I think that's like the best word to sum this up. This was so like, because when they first dropped that direct, I thought it was like a poop post at first. Different word, obviously, that we can't say on the podcast. I thought it was a meme at first until I realized that, like, oh no, they're actually just shadow dropped like a Star Fox direct, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was. And then it was just that, and it's like, man, you gotta be kidding me, man.
You know what it is, Doom?
So,
it's hitting like, I'm actually not very good with baseball, so I'll probably butcher this, but it's hitting a single, so you run to first base, and I think everyone wanted a home run. Like, they wanted someone at bat to just knock it out of the park, and they went with the safe option.
Yes.
And you know what? Okay, that's fine.
That's a really great baseball analogy, actually. That is 100% right. But yeah, that being said, I hope this game does surprise me because like you, I do want to pick it up. I want to give it a shot, and at the very least, I think it's going to be a fun game. But like, I really hope that this game surprises me in a way that I don't expect. I don't think it is, but I'm still rooting for it. I really am.
Me too. Yeah, I'm probably gonna pick it up. Well, I am gonna pick it up for sure for the price. I'm sure it'll be fun. Like, you know, like at the end of the day, like that's kind of what we want. And I don't know. Maybe these Five Nights at Freddy's Fox characters will win me over at the end. So we'll see. All right, folks, that is going to do it for us. Thank you for checking us out. Make sure to check out OmegaMetroid.com for all of your Metroid needs. We've got news, guides, walkthroughs, maps, you name it, it's there. Opinion pieces, everything that you could possibly want if you are a Metroid fan. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, recommend, rate, review, and of course, if you have a Metroid fan in your life, tell them where they can get their weekly Metroid fix. We're doing this every single Wednesday, so keep it locked in. And if you want to watch these podcasts in video form, check out Omega Metroid's YouTube page, where you can see not only us, but you can also check out video walkthroughs for some of your favorite Metroid games there as well. Give us a follow over on Blue Sky at Spiteri316, at Doom Cross, and at Omega Metroid. And as mentioned, we do have a Patreon that we plugged at the top of the show, patreon.com/spnet. Check it out. $1 gets you in the door. And there's a ton of stuff for you to sink your teeth into there. So consider supporting us if you're able to. That is it, my friends. We will see you back here next week. Take care.